welcome to another layout. Now this one I decided to pull out a Anko Blue Blossom mini paper stack. This is a Kmart 6x6 paper pad is what it is. And I bought this a little while ago and I do love the colours in it. I just don't reach for it. But it's September and I'm not buying any more this month. This month I have to use what I have. So let's get into it. Let's see what I can do with this. So what I decided to do is I pulled out a photo of my husband and I that I absolutely adore, and I have already, if you've been here a while, you have already seen this photo before. It is one of my favorites, and something that I like to do with my photos is I like to scrap them in a couple of different ways, because we have 3 children and they've all said to me that they will basically dismember my albums and they will take the pages of themselves and they will put them all into an album. Do you know what I mean? So they'll all sit down with the albums and then they'll switch out pages. So some of the photos that, like this one, that were from when my husband and I were dating, and I like to do them a couple of different ways. So these colors were screaming to me. We were having a really stormy, broody kind of day, and I was feeling the muted tones, and I thought, this is going to work. I'm going to do this today. So I went along and I cut the pages in half. So they were all 3 inches. And then what I did is I cut each individual section at a different amount of inches. So it doesn't really matter what you cut them into. You can make them whatever is good to your eye. You might want to cut them really, really small, or you might want to just cut them in half. It's totally your call. Now, what I ended up doing was, some of them, you can see how wide some are, you can see how thin some are. It all comes together. I'm using Ground Espresso Distress Oxide ink to brown up the edges, to ink up the edges. I love that color. I love the really deep dark brown with the blush color. I love that look, and the nice earthy tones. I think I really like how it works out. So now I do have some white here with some pink polka dots. I know that looks, you kind of look and going, oh, okay. But I think on every single layout, you've got to have something that, you've got to have a spot where your eye can rest on the page. So because this is a lot of paper piecing, you kind of need somewhere for your eye to just stop. And that's what the white polka dot, the white piece with the pink polka dots, that's what that is for me on this layout. Now, I don't leave them all in their sections like they're in now. I actually go ahead, now I am using my tape runner. For those eagle-eye viewers that spot when I do use my tape runner and when I don't, I'm using it on here because I'm not 100% certain if I'm going to love where this is going. Sorry, that was just my secret squirrel's gonna tell you something funny. So Angela, she said she didn't do it on purpose, but I can almost bet she did. They had a meningococcal opportunity to get the jab at school if they wanted it. Anyway, if that's what their family, not everyone gets it. I get all that. Anyway, so she took the form to school and I didn't sign it. And because if you've been here for a hot minute, you know that Ange has actually got ulcerative colitis, and she has a suppressed immune system. So for that reason, specifically, we make sure that she is up to date with every single vaccine she can get, because like me, we catch absolutely everything. So, and anyway, so she went to school. Now, I don't know how I did this. Did you see what I just did? I don't even know how I did that. How does that not fit? I cut it exactly. It's the one piece. I cut it. I don't know how I did that. But anyway, I just filled it in using a post-it note so I didn't get the ink on anything else. And I just added I must have, I don't even know how I did it, but I did something. Anyway, so the nurse called me. The nurse called me from the school and she's like, I've got the form, but your signature's not on it. Can we just get a verbal consent, please? And I'm like, oh, that is gold. Absolutely loved it. So, yes. Anyway, she got it. There was no big deal, but poor Anne, she gets poked and prodded left, right, and centre because of the UC. She always has, and she's probably had more, I won't say more blood tests than me, but she's definitely been up there with the old blood tests, that's for sure. And not to mention the fact that we have to get another one done in the next week. So, which is not nice, it's not pleasant, and it's part of the ulcerative colitis that is just not fun at all. It's awful. So, as you can see, I'm just waffling while I'm putting these pieces together. This bit's not rocket science. You can see that I'm just separating. As long as I keep them all, so I've got 2 on each row, they're all going to fit. Now, how this happens, I don't know, but there was a little bit left over, but I knew I wanted to trim 1/4 inch off the white cardstock to then be able to mount it on white cardstock and have the white border. So I really like how this is looking. I'm not a fan of those 2 big brown lines. I don't even know how that happened, but I didn't have any more white to be able to go over it. So I strategically used that as my space for my flowers, for my photos. Now, you can see there, see the photo, yep, this is going to work. And then by the time I add my embellishment-y bits around it, hopefully we don't notice those brown lines quite as much. I did flip it on its end. I was thinking that it was going to be all right if I left it the other way, but I quite like it this way. It can go either way. Look, honestly, you could have quite easily cut this on a diagonal and you could have cut it and sliced it even further. I love doing that sort of thing. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to do that on a layout today while I play because I love doing that sort of stuff. It's so much fun. And yeah, so I just pulled out a couple of scrap bits out of this particular paper pad. So I always put the stuff back in there and then just keep them all together. And as you can see, they don't fit for me to do a full backing piece, but that's okay. You can just have a bit of an offset. That's okay. Don't stress about it because by the end of this, you're going to see how I pull it all together. Now, I sped up the fussy cutting bit because you don't need to see that. That's boring. So I fussy cut these little strips and they were off pattern papers out of the same paper pad to make my own ephemera. Not a drama. Now, I pulled out the 49th and Market toast frames. Now, I got these frames a while back and you can still buy them. And this is what I like to do with these frames. So obviously I don't have a particular frame in there that's going to fit this photo perfectly because I've already used them all. So what I do is I cut them across the corners and then I put a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom, and by the time I add a bit of ephemera around it, you don't even notice it. So it looks like it's meant to be like that. This is a super duper handy trick if you're wanting to use a pre-made frame that you're not making yourself. Obviously, if you're going to make it yourself, you can make it the full size, but it's a really handy, it's kind of like photo corners. You know how photo corners, they go on the corners, but they obviously they don't go all the way down. That's what I was sort of going with here. What do you reckon? Let me know below. Do you think that worked? Is that something that you've done before? Is it something you will consider doing now? Is this your kind of layout? I know I usually do very mixed media heavy layouts, but I do also do layouts that use very little mixed media. And I wouldn't class this as a mixed media layout because ink to me is not really, if I just use ink on its own, that's just inking. That to me isn't mixed media. I talk mixed media when I get a bit of oxide spray, a bit of gloss spray, a bit of texture paste, and all the messy stuff. But some days I'm like you, and I just don't feel the messiness. I just want to get one with the paper. And I absolutely love these. So I'm just trying to put all these away because, we don't want to. Now, this is something I decided to do up the top. Now, this takes a little bit. This is one of the larger frames, and I decided that I'm going to cut it the way I did the other one so that it's replicated so it doesn't look like a mistake. And I had a little bit of a play. Now, this is something that you can play with yourself to see if this is something that you would like on your layout. Now, I pulled out these letters. I bought those from Kmart as well. They're Carpe Diem Rosie's Studio, and they're called foil foam stickers. I've been into Kmart and they've got different ones, but they're the same sort of style. So, FYI, sorry, I'm getting a really dry throat. Anyway, so I glued my frame. Did you see what I did? I just cut the corners and overlapped them a bit, made the frame come in and be a bit smaller. Now I'm putting tracing paper over the back. If you're new here, I use tracing paper in lieu of vellum. It's a lot cheaper. It gives you the same effect, especially if you're doing something like this. It's not really the end of the world if it's actual vellum or if it's not. And I love how this looks. It makes it look, with it crossing over like that, it looks really cute. And the way I finish it off, it makes it look like a piece of ephemera that was meant to be, just like that. I apologize for the motorbike that you probably just heard. We have a couple of younger youth around here that are not at school anymore, but they think that that's acceptable. If you don't know where I live in Queensland, and I live in Caboolture, and Caboolture has always been a more rural sort of setting, but we are very much becoming the northern suburbs of Brisbane now. And a motorbike like that, going back 20 years, muzzle tough. No one would care. But the way it is now, I live right in the middle of town, and quite literally. And I just think to myself, you know what? If you want to do that, it's only a 10-minute drive and you've got country area. That's it. Like, just go west a little bit. But anyway, so I am gluing down some flatback pearls. These ones I purchased from AliExpress from Alina Crafts, and you can find her under either Alina Crafts or Alina Cuttle. Alina Cuttle is the company name, and Alina Crafts is the business name. So it's the same person, same place, and same store. And she has a heap of designers under her, and they create all different things. They do dyes, they do ephemera, they do pearls, sequins, like the world's your oyster. And I do find that when it says it's going to take 1,000,000 years to get to us, it never normally takes that long. Just saying. And I'm down under. For anyone that's, trust me, it doesn't take as long as you think. So I'm just going along. Now I've put some of these flatback pearls onto each corner, the crossing intersection. It sort of makes it look like nail heads, and it really starts to work together. I did put a few little bits of, I've got these little micro pearls, and I put some of those on the frame around the love just for texture, not because they stand out big time like the larger ones, just for texture. And I love how this turned out. I would love to hear your thoughts and let me know what you think. Is this something you might give a try? Is this up your alley? I do come in with a little bit of liquid pearls in Ballerina, and it just looks, haven't done these tones for ages, and I forget how much I absolutely adore them. So I do bring in just a little bit. This is marigold, and I absolutely love how it brings the flowers to life. So please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Is this something you would like? See those little micro pearls on that smaller frame? And they're not perfectly lined up because I'm going for a rustic feel. So there you go, guys. If you have not already subscribed, I'd love to have you jump on board. I am trying to reach 2,000 subscribers by Christmas. That would blow my mind. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and share my page and leave me a comment. Thanks for watching, guys. Chat to you soon. Bye for now.